N'Keal Harry was an absolute steal at 32. What are you guys talking about? Forget Tom Brady's passing numbers. He's the GOAT because he was the best punter in the NFL. I take Johnny Hekker over Patrick Mahomes to be my quarterback any day.
Welcome to the No Punt Intended Sportscast with your host, Parody 07.
Welcome back to the No Punt Intended Sportscast. I'm back here with, as always, the Dawgs. And we're chugging along here. We have just completed week 4 of the NFL. We're a quarter of the way through, guys. Congratulations. You've arrived. You've made it.
Basically a quarter. Now with 17 games,
and
quarters don't really work very well in the NFL anymore.
It doesn't seem that way. And I tell you what, if New England's team operates the season the way it's operated throughout the year, the first quarter is always the worst one. So here's hoping for a turnaround. But yeah, a lot of emotion, I feel like, going around the NFL right now. There's some teams such as New England, the Bengals, that had some higher aspirations than being a one-win team a quarter of the way through the season. There obviously is love in the air with Taylor Swift and maybe some other couples. I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about that later. And there obviously some really insufferable fans in Philadelphia, and more sufferable than them, but not by much, in Miami and in Buffalo, although Miami finally lost the game, so congratulations to the Buffalo Bills.
Hey,
but
the Chiefs are the number 1 seed now in the AFC, so
congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you, Bills.
But we have a lot to talk about. Unless you're me, I'm not going to talk for very much, and I know I always promise that, but it's actually going to happen. It's actually going to happen. No cap. I promise.
Not the cap.
No cap. So let's get into the good and bad in the coaching. We'll start with LB. It seems like you've got a rant every week, but the soapbox gets a little bigger every time you have something to say. So whatever you got, man, say it with your chest.
Oh, I'm ready to burn this organization to the ground. But with that being said, we've only played 4 games. I'm not going to be like the rest of the Panthers fans and get all hysterical and show up at Bank of America Stadium at David Tepper's front porch with pitchforks and torches. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to wait till we go like 2-15, then I'll do it. With that being said, let's get to the good, bad, and the coaching from the Panthers. And guess what, guys? There's not much good going on. The Panthers are 0-4. Our offense is abysmal. It is legitimately the worst offense I have ever seen in my life at any level of football. It is predictable beyond belief. It is non-existent. So with that being said, let's get into some of the good. And again, the consistent theme for the good for the Carolina Panthers is their defense. We held Kirk Cousins to almost a record low game. He threw 19 balls on the game. Completed 12 for 139 yards with 2 touchdowns, but 2 interceptions, one of those being a 99-yard pick six to Franklin on the Carolina Panthers. That set a franchise record, so that's obviously really good, having a defensive score. And then 2 turnovers on the day. So that's been the consistent theme, is the good coming out of Carolina. Our D coordinator really dialed it up, held the Vikings to 14 points on the day. Vikings had a defensive touchdown. That's how they got to 21 for those who didn't watch the game. The bad, Carolina's defense outscored Carolina's offense 7-6. Carolina kicked 2 field goals on the day, and our defense had a pick six on the first drive of the game. So Carolina was, despite those horrible stat lines, Carolina was in the lead for much of that game, and then couldn't get anything going. And to further that point, Carolina's offense being abysmal, they had 5 second-half possessions, 3 of those ending in punts, 1 ending in a fumble. That was a scoop and score touchdown for the Vikings. And then the last drive of the game, was a turnover on downs, sack by Harrison Smith that ended the game. And despite the horrible performance, Carolina was in the red zone with a minute or so on the clock, down one score in a 2-point conversion. And that is the reoccurring theme week in and week out. Carolina has chances to go extend their lead, to really put the pressure on the opposing team. And for whatever reason, bad luck, potentially cursed, which I'm starting to think this Carolina Panthers organization might be. But again, I'll wait and get into that later on.
It's all because Cam Newton didn't dive for the fumble in the Super Bowl. That's where it all went downhill.
It could be, man. And we treated Steve Smith bad, D'Angelo Williams. But again, like I said, I'll save that rant for another day.
Maybe D'Angelo Williams paid TJ Watt to make that hit.
Maybe. But yeah, so there's a ton of bad. Our offensive line is horrible. We gave up 5 sacks on the day, 6 quarterback hits. And like I've mentioned time and time again, Bryce isn't that big of a dude. He took a big shot early in the game. It was a late hit, actually. They didn't flag it because the whistle was technically not blown. And but the O-line stopped because they heard the whistle. But the defender was on a nickel blitz, I think. And he hit Bryce late. And no one on Carolina got up into the defender's face and ripped him a new one, compared to the late hit on Justin Herbert's when the whole Chargers sideline mobbed the dude and was, basically teaching that guy a lesson like, hey, you don't hit our guy. That's what you love to see from your guys, take it up for the quarterback, especially after a late hit. I think it's horrible. I think it's so soft. I would be chewing those guys out in team meetings for not taking up for your guy. And you get basically a free license to go and rough some guy up after the play. It's kind of those unwritten rules of the game where you get to just basically beat the dude up for hitting your guy late. You can really prove a point. And a lot of times that can be a spark for your offense.
Yep.
You get the guys rallying together, and that didn't happen. So that was horrible to see. I really hate that. I think our team is very soft. I think we're mentally soft. We continue to have penalties. This game we had 6 penalties for 80 yards. We're not good enough on offense to overcome those penalties. We're not even good enough on offense to get 10 yards at a time within 3 plays, let alone, getting 1st and 15, 2nd and 20, et cetera, et cetera. So we can't get of our own way. Some more bad, because I might as well when I'm on the soapbox. Bryce completed 25 of 32 passes on the day, which at first glance sounds really good. That's over 70% completion. However, 12 completions of those were behind the line of scrimmage. So what the heck are we doing, Carolina? We have no vertical pass game. We're not trusting the kid. Even if we could get the ball down the field, we don't have the time to do so. And it's horrible. Our running game continues to be non-existent. Carolina ran the ball for a total of 83 yards on the day. Horrible. Threw the ball for 204 yards. Terrible. No touchdowns, like I said. So our offense isn't producing. And, it's just, there's not much to be excited about if you're Carolina. I think the biggest thing that, for me going forward is hoping that they don't blow this team up again and ship guys out of town, like Brian Burns or Frankie Louvu or, guys like that who continue to produce, but we're 0-4 last in the division. It's basically a done deal that we're not making the playoffs. I think one team in the 70s made the playoffs at 0-4, and ever since then it's basically been impossible. And it would be an act of God himself to get this team to the playoffs with how bad we are. It would have to be God putting his hand directly on the Panthers and saying, you know what, you guys have suffered enough, let me get you guys some wins. And that's the only way we'll make the playoffs, because right now it's not happening, fellas. Frank Reich has got to stop calling plays. We need to let Thomas Brown cook, give him a shot. And that also would help, I believe, with the clock management and operation of just getting the play in and out of the huddle, lining up. Had to burn some timeouts because we couldn't get lined up. Had to take a penalty because we weren't lined up. Don't give Bryce a chance at the line of scrimmage to process, which he can do, but he's just not being put in a position to succeed. So I'd say that'd be the coaching going forward, to switch up the play calling. Frank, you're 0-4, man. We can't score any points. We have literally nothing to lose and everything to gain. Let's go ahead and make that switch. And that's kind of where it is, boys. Bottom line, Carolina looks like a JV team. And our offense is horrible. It's going to be, I think, record-breaking horrible if we continue on this trajectory. Our defense is, like I said, they're playing fine. They're doing what you can do, given the circumstances they keep getting put in and the teams we keep playing. But yeah, man, it's horrible down here in Carolina. I just don't fire anybody. Let's play out the 17 games. Let's see what happens, and then move on from there. I don't like firing people in the middle of the season, despite how bad it is. Let's just change it up, change up some scheme, change up some personnel, and play calling, etc. And let's go from there before we blow it up again, because we've been in a constant rebuild, it seems like, since 2018. And there's nothing productive offensively. So I think at this point, going to play the Lions, really good defense. Hey man, let's go for broke. Let's change everything up and see what happens. Because right now we're horrible, and we're staring down 0-7, 0-6 going into the bye week. So those are kind of my thoughts from the game.
Yeah, it's tough to watch an offense be predictable or into struggle. Obviously, as a Pats fan over the past now year and I'll say a quarter, it's been tough to watch some less than stellar offense and predictable play calling and all the rest. And sometimes predictable play calling isn't the worst thing, but because everybody might know that you're going to run the ball in this situation, but when everybody knows you're going to run the ball and then you still have 6 yards of carry, that's even more demoralizing. So hopefully you guys can figure out a way to kind of revamp again that offensive line after revamping it, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Then I think that would allow for some more production in the running game, which obviously allows for the passing game to kind of play off of that. But it's tough to make an identity when nothing works. So hopefully you guys get back in the seat there. On a little bit more positive note, although it almost was not going to be a positive note, the Kansas City Chiefs did pull one out against the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying this forever. The Jets are a good team, so beating them is very impressive.
I don't think so, but okay.
Ultimate respect. No, so the best thing that happened in that game is that we didn't lose. There wasn't a whole lot of good, but I would say that our defense, even though they allowed however many points, 20 points, technically 18, still did pretty good. We're the only defense in the league who is allowed, because again, the scoreboard will tell you that the Jets scored 20, but 2 of those came off of a safety. So we're the only team in the NFL that has allowed 18 points or less to each team in the first 4 weeks. And all those points came in the second quarter and on the first drive in the third quarter. Outside of that, our defense was pretty lights out. For some reason, Zach Wilson was on fire, and we have a theory on that on this podcast of why he caught fire in that game, but we'll leave that for later. Other good was that Isaiah Pacheco had the best game of his career. He had over 100 rushing yards. I forgot how many passing yards, but it was quite a bit. Literally the best game of his career. He had a touchdown. He looked very good in that game. So very good for him. Now, the bad, surprisingly, I never thought I would really say this, was the passing offense. We couldn't move the ball through the air very well. Obviously, Mahomes threw 2 horrible picks. They were not good at all. I mean, they just looked like they were just underthrown. Like, really. It was like, okay.
Patrick Mahomes underthrowing somebody just doesn't make any sense to me.
I know. It's like, okay. And he did it twice, and it was kind of the same sort of play. He was trying, I don't know. Yeah, it was really weird. Anyways, Mahomes had one of the worst games of his career. But I mean, we still won besides that. So I'm okay with that. There wasn't any real major drops by any of the players, really. I think there's maybe one or two, but, nothing super surprising. It's just that Jets pass defense was doing really well at keeping our guys locked down. Like, if you watch that game, there's not very many people open. So they did a really good job.
And that Jets defense is for real. Yeah.
Now, the other bad thing, and I think this is the thing that everyone was talking about after the game, was the refereeing, the penalties. Everyone was complaining about the penalties, specifically the two that everyone was talking about was the holding penalty against Sauce Gardner in the fourth quarter, and also that there was a holding call against our left tackle that was not called when Mahomes ran for 24 yards. Now, I think Guy will appreciate this. I think we can relate to this because you're a Patriots fan. You're used to everyone saying that the referees are on your side. The league's rigging it for you. So every time the Patriots win or do well, it's like, well, the referees helped you out,
Sure.
And it's like, that's normal for all, any team that does well. That's what everyone else says about that team without fail. It's true. That's always what happens. But, I think the referees did bad in that game. Not specifically with those calls, though. Like the holding call on Sauce Gardner, I would almost say it was more of an illegal contact than a hold, to be totally honest. But I mean, I've seen worse holding calls called or holding penalties called. You could say, well, they kind of allowed that throughout the game, but that's just how it goes. But people forget that there was a bad horse collar penalty called against the Chiefs that even on the broadcast, they said that's not a penalty. That wasn't a horse collar at all. Whoever the expert was on NBC, I forgot what his name is. And, that was on the Jets' first scoring drive. So that helped them a lot because it gave them a big 15-yard penalty. And there was also the safety penalty that was kind of questionable because there's a safety that was called, in favor of the Jets because there was a penalty in the end zone, is what they were saying, a face mask. But if you watch, it appears that the face mask starts outside of the end zone, like on the 1 or 2 yard line. So there's question on when does that start exactly? Because if it's just when, he grabs onto the face mask, well, he grabbed onto it before he entered the end zone. So there was questions on that.
Right.
So it's kind of a weird thing that happened.
For viewers who don't know, the way that those penalties typically work, there's a few of them. Holding is the most common one that you'll see with an offensive lineman. If they hold and they begin their hold while in the end zone, that instead of the penalty being yards because they're already, the foul occurred in the end zone, they award the safety to the team that was not penalized.
Yeah.
But if that hold begins outside of the end zone and the player continues to hold into the end zone because it started outside of the end zone, they consider the penalty to occur where it started. So that's why this face mask is a weird one for it to fall on. So typically it's where the penalty starts based on how they usually call holding calls. So for them to do what it sounds like they did makes it questionable for why that was a safety.
Yeah, and the referees, it's in real time, so it's hard, right?
Sure.
But, still, like, everyone's like, oh, it's all rigged for the Chiefs. There's just bad officiating all around. But anyways, then lastly, coaching. I think that's the biggest issue with this game was two things. One is Andy Reid has this habit of forgetting how to call a running play in the middle of games. He just kind of says, oh, I don't know what that is. He forgets. If you watch Chiefs games, you'll notice at the beginning, they're somewhat balanced usually. And once they score, then they're like, well, okay, we can just throw the ball now. And it's like, okay. And then he sometimes remembers it by the end of the game. And that's kind of what happened here. Is we got 17 points in the first quarter, and Isaiah Pacheco was doing well. Everything was going well. And then we just stopped calling running plays, and then we did horribly. And then in the second half, we started calling running plays again. And it all worked out. So that's the first, I think, issue that Andy Reid needs to figure out is you can run the ball, especially when you have Isaiah Pacheco. He does well.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing is that our coaching staff has a habit of not preparing well against bad teams. We often keep bad teams very close. We play them basically at their level for the most part. And I've got statistics to back this up. Last year, the Chiefs lost to the Colts, which were the second worst team in the AFC. We went to overtime against the Texans, which had the worst record in the AFC. And we beat the Raiders. We played them twice, but one of the games we beat them by 1 point, and they were the fourth worst team by record in the AFC. So we have a habit of playing bad teams badly. So that's why I think a good thing is that we didn't lose, because I think our team's a lot better than this, but we're just bad against bad teams. But the fact that we didn't lose helps. So anyways, that's my whole spiel about the Chiefs this week.
Goodness, who would have thought that the Hound's take this week was that Andy Reid, you need to eat your vegetables?
Yes.
Man, that's wild.
Yeah.
So the good, the bad, and the coaching of the New England Patriots. The good, absolutely nothing.
Oof.
Nothing. So the bad. So we'll go to the bad, and I'm being dead serious. There was absolutely nothing good about that game. The only thing, and I wouldn't even know if there was anything good, because the only drive that we had that went into the red zone wasn't even televised, because they thought it was more important to show Eagles and Redskins go into overtime in a game that wasn't even scheduled to be on that channel for my region, instead of going to America's Game of the Week. I mean,
Yikes.
I didn't eat the one good drive we have. I didn't even get to see. And Pop Douglas had a 40-yard catch in that. And I luckily, they obviously clipped that highlight. But outside of that, yeah. So even if there was good, I didn't see it.
Mm.
So the bad, which is everything. The first thing that's bad is, first and foremost, the injuries. And this gets into the coaching a little bit, and I'll save that rant for when I get to the coaching. But losing Christian Gonzalez most likely for the year, after congratulating him for a made-up award was going to be the death of him, and it was. And I still said it, so I'm sorry. It's all my fault. I'll take the blame, Mr. Gonzalez. I hope you get better. You're 21 years old, so use that young body to heal up.
We will pay your medical bills. No, I'm joking.
No, don't say that. Don't say that. 100 views on the last episode isn't enough to make any money, okay? I know it's more than we usually have, but we're not rolling in dough right now.
Yeah, that is not a valid offer. He does not have that power to make such offers.
It is a valid offer. We all agreed to it. Don't listen to that.
As host, and
that offer has been rescinded as of right now. Not acceptable.
No. I am the true agent of this podcast, and I say we are not paying Christian Gonzalez's medical bills.
Hound does not have that authority.
No, and on top of that, even if we were to, we wouldn't be able to get him the help he needs, and I want him to have the help he needs. So
that's true.
Matthew Judon obviously going down is a big deal as well. He's pretty much the spokesperson for our team. He's the heart and soul of our team. And he has a torn labrum, if I'm not mistaken, or a torn bicep, one of the two. I don't remember which one it is. They say he could be out till December, which is pretty much all season. So, in other words, what that means is New England needs to go on a run without their two best defensive players on the team, and so that they can get just one of them back. So it's really tough losing him. The way we lost him is even worse. So, but I won't get into that till just yet. other few things that are bad. The offensive line was a problem. Obviously, this is a really good. Micah Parsons is a beast. Not Trevor Lawrence. What is the name of the other pass rusher for the Cowboys?
For the Cowboys?
Yeah, it's Parsons on one side, and then on the other side, it's Lawrence is his last name, isn't it? Forget his name.
Let's see here.
I was cooking too. That sucks. What's his name?
I don't know the Cowboys that well.
DeMarcus Lawrence. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, he's been there for a long time, so I'm surprised I forgot it. So let me restart that little
Cut.
Another thing that was poor was the offensive line. I know Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence are formidable opponents, but there's ways you can scheme around it and stuff. And up till this point, I don't know if he was number 1 or top 5, but our left tackle, Trent Brown, was a top 5 rated offensive tackle in the league going into that game. So you would think that he would at least hold his own. And from what I understand, he really didn't. Nobody really held their own. Mac was outside of the pocket almost the entire game because he was running for his life. And his stats show that as well. I'm not even on my soapbox yet. That's the problem.
Hop up on that thing.
So I'm getting on it now.
Pause.
I'm getting on the soapbox now.
There we go.
So I have defended Mac all off season, all season. And I'm still going to defend Mac.
Oh.
Wow. Hey, I respect the loyalty. I really do.
But he did not play well at all on Sunday. That might have been his worst game as a Patriot.
I would agree.
He made multiple throws across the field that he had no business throwing. It was luck that he completed the first one, and the pick 6 should have happened the first time he did it. He was not aware of his surroundings as far as being able to deal with pressure and that sort of thing, which is something he did really well against, especially the Eagles, and against the Jets. He dealt with pressure relatively well, being able to step up in the pocket, make little run outs and that sort of thing. He made good throws on the run against Miami as well. So I don't even have a problem with him getting outside the pocket, but his decision making this game outside the pocket was not good. So, and he gets pulled at the end of the third quarter in favor of Bailey Zappi, who went in and once again, all he could do was complete quick slants, but he's definitely the better quarterback according to Zappi Mania, which has been resurrected. Thanks, Bill. But the reason we lost this game is not the reason we're a bad team. We lost this game because Mac was trying to do too much. We lost this game because Mac made mistakes. I won't sugarcoat that. I'm going to call balls and strikes. But Mac is still not the problem with this offense. He had a bad game. Tom Brady had bad games. And as Hound alluded to, Mahomes has bad games. But what's the difference between Mahomes having a bad game? Granted, it was the Jets, so having a bad game against the Jets is a pretty good time to have a bad game, especially when Zach Wilson's on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
But what's the difference between Kansas City having their quarterback having a bad game and New England's quarterback having a bad game? What's the difference, and why is one a win and one's a loss, especially a very lopsided loss? It's the talent around them. To me, the New England Patriots got exposed. And not really Mac Jones. The New England Patriots as a team got exposed last week. We have no talent on offense outside of some of our young players. Zero. Our center is our most consistent player. We're supposed to have, our right guard is supposed to be a Pro Bowler this year, and he's playing like crap. Our left guard, that was a first rounder last year, got benched for a fifth rounder this year. Trent Brown is a cupcake short of a Happy Meal, and he's played better since he got his little pay bump, but he did not play well. If you look at any of the plays that Mac either threw an interception or had to throw the ball away or made a bad throw, you look at the tape that was available during the game broadcast and you tell me what receiver you would throw to, because I sure as heck have no clue who I would throw to, and I played quarterback in high school. There was not a single person open all game long. The only time somebody was open was on the first drive, and Mac missed a throw in the end zone to Mike Gesicki by a couple inches. Again, stuff like that happens. People miss throws. Patrick Mahomes missed a guy in the flat last year that was so wide freaking open. It was insane. And what did he do? He came back and he was able to come back and make a play later in that drive. But New England Patriots, Bill Belichick, you have to hear me out. You have to let your personnel department work on the offense. Okay. And I woke up, it's Wednesday, the 3rd or 4th of October. I'm not sure if it's 4th of October.
Yeah.
3 days after that 38-3 loss, with 14 of those points being a result of turnovers, being a pick six and a scoop and score after a strip sack. And what does Bill Belichick do? He trades for J.C. Jackson. Now, don't misunderstand. I'm happy to have him in the building. Our quarterback depth is absolutely abysmal, and the Chargers are basically paying him to play for us. After I looked at it, I think we have to pay only like $1.5 million for him to be on our roster this year. So I'm totally fine with that move in a vacuum. But when we look at the grand scheme of things, this is the way New England has done things the last handful of years. They have operated as if Tom Brady is still here. They have operated as if the offense will just figure itself out. It's not going to happen. Not with this group. Look, I love Kendrick Bourne. Probably the best receiver on our team. But he doesn't get playing time because he doesn't run his routes the way they are meant to be run sometimes, because this is a timing-based offense. So sometimes he puts a little English on his route to get a little bit more open rather than just running the route as instructed. So he doesn't get as much playing time. We have called run plays with Mike Gesicki as our lead blocker on that side. Mike Gesicki is not a blocker. Newsflash. And the feeling in the building, by the way, is that Juju Smith-Schuster wasn't the replacement for Jacoby Myers. It was actually Mike Gesicki. He's meant to take the snaps that Jacoby Myers left. And Jacoby Myers might be a better blocker than Mike Gesicki.
Huh.
Could be.
You can't operate this way. You just can't. And by the way, having your 6'3", 225-pound receiver, that's like your jump ball guy, and having him run the underneath crosses on third down doesn't make a lick of sense to me, especially against Stephon Gilmore. Like I to this moment have no clue what they were thinking. But Bill, if you want your team to be successful and you want to catch Don Shula and you're on the coaching wins of all time, you got to invest in your offense. You got to. And you did well when you drafted Mac, drafting Demario Douglas, Keyshawn Booty, Ramondre Stevenson. Obviously, seems to be some question whether you whiffed on Tyquan Thornton and Cole Strange. But you can't expect your team to win with only one side of the ball operating. And when you invest all your resources into one side of the ball, it doesn't work. It just doesn't. You don't have any superstars on offense, and you've always had at least one. Whether it was Brady, Gronk, Edelman, Moss, Welker, the list goes on. Troy Brown, Deion Branch. You got to have somebody that's a difference maker on offense. We call the Tuesday morning meeting guy, the guy that the defensive coordinator on the other side of the ball that week has to account for. You don't have anybody. So that needs to change if this team wants to take the next step, or any steps for that matter. And as far as the coaching goes as a whole, if you're going to pull Mac Jones because you're worried about him getting hurt, then pull your best freaking player off the freaking field. He pulled Mac Jones at the end of the third quarter, if I'm not mistaken, or at the beginning of the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And he left Matthew Judon in, and guess what? Judon is hurt now.
Yep.
And if you look, it wasn't one of those injuries like, well, he would have eventually gotten hurt sometime or another. It was a completely avoidable injury. If Matt Judon wasn't on the field on that play, he'd be playing this week. But guess what? He's not, and he may not play the rest of this year because of I don't even know what the purpose of having him out here is. The only thing I could possibly think of is maybe you want to get some film on some particular looks, so you kind of use it as a practice or whatever. Fine, do that. Put Keon White, put Josh Uche, just Anthony Jennings, just somebody other than your best player out there just to get that look.
Yeah, at some point you have to give your young guys opportunities, and when you're getting blown out like that, hey, that's no better time than to give them looks.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't know if I buy that Bill Belichick pulled out Mac Jones because he was scared of him getting injured. I don't think Bill Belichick trusts Mac Jones. Now that could be wrong, right? But I think Bill Belichick's kind of already a critical person to start with, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think, I mean, yes, could that be possibly one reason? Sure. But he's also like, what's the point? If Zappy does amazing, then, well, we go with that. He's one of those, I don't know. It doesn't seem like he has a great relationship with Mac Jones. Not like there's anything horribly wrong per se.
Right.
But I think, again, he hates turnovers. And when Mac Jones has multiple turnovers that go into touchdowns directly, you can't be happy about that. So
no.
Yeah. And he kind of has to shoot from the hip, and he'd be like, okay, you're out.
To be fair, I don't necessarily disagree with the notion that there was some performance-based problems with that. But if you saw how much he was running around and running for his life,
yeah,
Mac Jones got hurt last year because Bill Belichick put him in an impossible situation, and then Mac tried to do too much and got hurt.
Yeah,
and Mac was in an impossible situation after 2 minutes into the second quarter. So at some point you had to pull him. And
I don't think it's the wrong decision.
No, I don't either.
I just have a feeling Bill Belichick had ulterior motives on top of that.
Maybe
because I don't think he trusts the offense, and I think he should do a little bit of looking in the mirror.
I agree. But
I think he doesn't trust the people he has there. And that just causes chaos. So
yeah, if I was going to circle around to the good, Bill O'Brien isn't going to get a head coaching job anytime soon. So at least Mac Jones won't have to deal with changing offensive coordinators after this season. So
you hope.
And Demario Douglas is showing flashes that we've all been saying since this offseason. So that's another good thing. You know what I mean? I think he's got to continue to get targets. I'm looking at his stats right now. He's only got 15 targets on the year with 9 receptions. But he's third on the team in receiving yards at 119. So
there you go.
You know what I mean? Like you especially you called it in the draft that they were going to take him. to the pick. So again, give you your flowers on
Yeah.
that.
Thank you.
And then also we all saw him play in person at Liberty, and so we can all attest to his freak athletic ability from personally seeing it. But now it's translated to the NFL in a small dosage. With only 15 targets and 9 receptions, that's not a ton. But again, 119 receiving yards. It's
good
that's something,
production.
man. Exactly. And again, I think what's very similar to the Panthers and the Patriots offensive issues is we're not getting our guys in a position to succeed, and we're not utilizing their skill set properly.
Yeah.
I think we're trying to put a square peg in a round hole type of thing, and we're trying to force guys to be something that they're not. And I think that is very problematic because there's not much flexibility. And I think from an offensive standpoint, play calling, etc., you have to be flexible and you have to tailor your offense to the skill positions and the players that you have in those positions. If you have a stud running back and a heck of an offensive line, but you don't have a number one receiver, hey, you need to go old school and run the ball 40 times a game and lean on your run game. If you can't do that, but you have 3 or 4 really good skill guys, spread the defense out and, go West Coast on them and distribute the ball that way. You got to play to your strengths. And I think these coaches have such big egos that they have their systems, they have success in the past running types of plays, systems, and because they've had that past success, they're going to assume that they can continue to replicate that despite not having the same talent.
I agree.
So,
I agree.
That's just my observation from the Patriots from afar, but certainly from the Panthers.
Sure.
I think there's a lot of similarities.
I agree.
With the lack of offense that each team is currently going through.
I agree. And what's frustrating for me is that I've seen players that are on this field right now play well.
Right.
And I'm not seeing it happen, which makes it even that much more frustrating.
Yep. Because the talent's there.
Right.
Like if we know it as laypersons in the NFL world, I mean, shoot, these guys, Bill Belichick of all people, the greatest head coach of all time, in my opinion, ought to know it.
Right.
And not that they don't know it. I'm sure that they do. But why is it not translating? Why are you not getting the production? Why are we continuously going down this route where there's not any production? There's no spark. There's no change of pace. You know what I mean? That's just we're continue to do the same thing until it works. Well, guess what? Sometimes it just doesn't flat out work, and you have to change it.
Right. Absolutely.
I don't understand it.
I don't either. I just think the talent gap right now in New England is just so monstrous that when Mac doesn't play well, it just accentuates how bad the team is around him.
Yeah.
And they talk about how Brady uplifted the team every year. Well, I don't know how much Brady could uplift a team that would force him to run around like Mac has. So,
and Mac and Tom Brady both can't run. So it's like, this is not a good situation here.
Nope, it's not. So there's been so much negativity that we've been talking about. Obviously, a rough week for our teams, but there's always next week. Although I'm looking forward less and less to next week. But this week, we do have some jokes, some smiles, some giggles, some memes. Is that right, Hound? We got a meme of the week?
Oh, yes, we do. We do have a meme of the week.
Meme! Approved!
So sometimes the internet is a horrible place. Actually, most of the time the internet's a horrible place. But this week after the Chiefs-Jets game, the internet had a lot of fun and made me smile a whole bunch. So on Twitter, where all of the best things happen, Zach Wilson was trending. Oh, that makes sense, because he played in the game. But he was trending with Donna Kelce. And that's a little strange. Like, okay, I guess
Donna Kelce.
No, Donna Kelce is Travis Kelce's mom.
Oh.
And she was at the game. It's like, okay. But the reason they were both trending is because for some reason, the whole internet decided to make a joke that the reason Zach Wilson played so well against the Chiefs is because Donna Kelce was in the building. For example, this person says that Zach Wilson decides to have his best game of the season the moment Donna Kelce comes to town. Coincidence? I think not. Then you have the old Kevin James meme that's been going around with Zach Wilson walking right past Taylor Swift to ask out Donna Kelce after he wins the game. And, this everyone was just, I don't know. I guess this was an inside joke that just came out of nowhere. Like, this was not a thing, but everyone's just somebody made this joke and everyone just decided to make the joke even more. There's photos of Zach Wilson looking at the skybox where Donna Kelce was at, smiling. Then this person, I like theirs. And this was during the game, but when they tweeted this out, they said, "I need Zach Wilson to beat KC, then blow a kiss up to where Taylor Swift is. When she points to herself like, 'Who, me?' He shakes his head no and points to her left, and it's Donna Kelce pointing at herself like, 'Who, me?' And he nods his head yes, winks, smirks, and jogs off." Man, this is the reason why the internet should exist. There's many reasons why it shouldn't, but this is the reason why it should. Everyone was thinking that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce would be the couple of the game, but no, it's Zach Wilson and Donna Kelce. They're the power couple of the league, and I'm all here for it. So,
well, thank you for that TED talk on why the internet's allowed to stay.
Yes, for this week.
For this week, anyway. But wow.
Now, if Donna Kelce keeps showing up to Jets games, now this is going to get a whole lot more interesting.
Maybe I will pay for something. Maybe I will pay for Donna to go see her boyfriend in person. You know, maybe I mean, one plane ticket and a ticket to a football game. I think we could swing that.
Yeah, I think it'd be fine.
Yeah, sorry, Christian Gonzalez, you're on your own with the medical bills. But Donna Kelce, if you need us to send you to see your boy, let us know. We got you.
Yeah. No, I just love when the internet just makes an inside joke that didn't exist.
Right.
So it's just great.
That's awesome.
Meme. Approved.
Well, Zach is a dog for trying to swing higher than his weight class on that one. But
yeah,
I tell you what, there was some other dogs that played or maybe didn't play this week. And it's time for some dogs of the week. We'll start with LB. Who is your dog of the week this week?
My dog of the week not only is the dog of the week, but is the best dadgum player in the whole NFL.
Oh.
It's my boy, Christian McCaffrey.
Oh, let's go.
Dude, this man should win MVP. They should pay him $100 million a year, by the way. Give him the keys of the franchise. This dude's a monster. He had 20 carries, 106 yards, and 3 touchdowns on the ground, along with 7 receptions for 71 yards and a touchdown through the air. So this man had 4 touchdowns on the day, absolutely shredding. He's on a tear, quite like we haven't seen before, and he makes it look so effortless. And I'm just so saddened that he's not on Carolina. However, I'm super happy for him personally, and I hope he goes and wins a Super Bowl. Because he deserves one if anyone ever does. This man's on a different level, and quite frankly, he could probably be the dog of the week every week going forward.
That's facts. But 4 tutties definitely is worthy of getting on the esteemed list of dog of the week. Hound, who do you have as your dog of the week? Do you have Zach Wilson as your dog of the week?
No, I think he's like dog of the year, to be totally honest. Zach Wilson. Man. I wish I was him. But Khalil Mack is my dog of the week.
There you go.
Khalil Mack had 6 sacks against the Raiders and 10 total tackles in the game. Insane stat, right?
Yeah.
The record for most sacks in the game is 7. He had 6. But here's what's very funny. Is that in the first 3 games, Khalil Mack had no sacks and 9 total tackles combined in the first 3 games. And yet in this game, he had 6 sacks and 10 tackles. So he basically played better in this one game than he did in all the first three games combined. So he just went off. So Bosa was inactive against the Raiders. So it was all up to Khalil Mack to make some plays. Khalil Mack's been in the league for a long time. I forgot that he was drafted in 2014. So I guess this is his 10th season.
Right.
And he hasn't quite been the same player the last few years.
Yeah.
He had 8 sacks last season. He hasn't had double-digit sacks since 2018 which was his first season with the Bears. Mm. So maybe this year he'll break the double-digit sack mark.
He's got a good head start with 6 of them things.
Yep. So who knows? Who knows what will happen? But he definitely played out this week and was probably the main reason why the Chargers won that game.
Facts.
Like he basically played defense all by himself. So
yeah, he's a dog for sure.
For sure. Congratulations to Khalil Mack. Welcome back. Big Mac Sack is back. So we're going from Big Mac Sack is back to Dak. Dak is my dog of the week, but not for the way he's played, because he could have decided to not take a snap. The entire Dallas offense could have decided not to take a snap, and they would have won that game by 2 touchdowns. But there is another name in the hat for power couple of the NFL after this weekend, because after the impressive win over the New England Patriots, Dak Prescott was selected to be the player that Erin Andrews, a reporter for Fox, decided to have do the interview after the game. And she asks him a few questions, and she's looking at him and smiling. As reporters do, they typically have like a reporter face. They have a face that they try to default to while they're talking to a player, and that face can differ between whether they're talking to a player who just won a game, lost a game, kind of whatever the subject matter of the interview is going to be about. She asked a few questions, and she apparently really liked his answers, like a lot, because at one point she broke character. And I saw a twinkle in her eye.
Uh-oh.
I saw the twinkle that you can only see when true love is in the air. Erin Andrews looked at Dak, and I quote said, "Oh my goodness, you are so great." And the way she said it, and I don't know if you can find it, but if you can find it,
I'm looking it up right now.
If you can find it, there was some weight to the way she said it. And all Dak did was not throw an interception and handed the ball off, and made one good throw to a top 5 receiver in the league, beating a 5'9" slow corner. So that's what Dak did that day. But he got a "Oh my goodness, you are so great" from Erin Andrews. So I have Dak Prescott as my dog of the week, but he's the dog of the week, if you know what I'm saying. So congrats to Dak Prescott, Khalil Mack, and Christian McCaffrey for being the No Punt Intended Sportscast Dogs of Week 4. And if this keeps up, we might have to do power couple power rankings.
Yeah, the NFL is just becoming like The Bachelor or something. I don't know.
Like that. The thing is, The Bachelor and The Bachelorette's one versus a bunch of them, right? Like one man, a bunch of women, one girl, a bunch of men. This is more like a Love Island or Jersey Shore or something, where everybody is just in love with everybody, and they're just about switching partners. Next week is going to be Dak and Taylor Swift. Aaron Andrews and Donna Kelce and Zach Wilson and Travis Kelce all going out. So, and before we wrap up, we have to go over some predictions here. So we have Kansas City. You said, Hound, that they would win 23-10, and they won 23-20. So once again, you are relatively
one
close.
Of the scores right.
Yeah, and you obviously picked the correct winner, which puts your record at 3-1 in picks.
Mm-hmm.
LB, you said the Vikings would beat Carolina 31-20. The score was a little less than what you anticipated. A lot of defensive scoring, but nonetheless, you did pick the Vikings to win. So now you are at an even 2-2 in your record prediction. And I said New England was going to get blown out 43-6. I was incorrect. They got blown out 38-3. So I hate being right sometimes. I am now 3-1 in my picks. And that's
you have a better record than the Patriots.
Yes, I have a better record than a lot of teams.
Yeah.
What we said last week for week 5 predictions, Chiefs are playing the Vikings, and Hound has them winning 38-30. The Panthers are playing the Lions, and LB has them losing 38-23. Again, I'm tempted to take a mulligan, but I'm going to leave it alone for now. Just take my L either way. I have the Pats winning over the Saints 23-17 this week, even though Derek Carr probably is going to play, even though I made that prediction when I thought Jameis was going to play. But now we got to do some week 6 predictions, and we'll start with LB. Your Carolina Panthers are playing the now 3-1, no longer undefeated Miami Dolphins on October 15th at 1:00. What do you say, sir?
Yeah, give me the Dolphins big over Carolina, 49-16.
Oof. 49-16. No.
Yeah, I hope that we don't get 70 hung on us like the Bears. I mean, that's really, if we don't give up 70 points, that's a win. I mean, not really, but
That's fair. That's fair. So no field goals allowed. All touchdowns for the Dolphins. Good grief.
Yep.
7 of them things. Dang. All right. 49-16. Dolphins win at Panthers, according to LB. Leaving them at 0-6, if that is how things go. Chiefs are playing the Broncos in week 5 in Arrowhead. What say you?
Thursday night football.
That's right, Thursday night.
Yeah. I say obviously the Chiefs will win. I'll say 30-16. I think that's a good score for that game. Denver doesn't really have much going for them right now. So
they almost lost to the Bears.
They almost lost to the Bears. I was scared about that because I really want to see the Bears break the all-time losing record. So yeah, I was really scared that they were going to win.
Your predictions have been pretty invincible, so I'm going to allow. I had faith. As for New England, we play the Raiders at 4:00.
Raiders
for week 6. Jimmy G versus his old team. Jacoby Myers revenge game. Josh McDaniels revenge game, obviously. Raiders win 20-23 in overtime.
Ooh. Spicy.
Yeah, it's in Las Vegas again, the home of whatever that was last year, where Jacoby Myers threw the ball and Chandler Jones stiff arm Mac Jones. I mean, it was just, which would put New England, if I did it correctly, that would put them at 2-4. So that's your predictions for the week. Thanks again for watching, everybody. If you have any questions or would like us to go over any teams that you want us to talk about, feel free to do that. We actually just filmed the Chargers one not that long ago that we'll be posting here within the next couple weeks. So thanks again for listening, everybody. Make sure to check out the Instagram, like and subscribe, and we'll see you later.
Thank you for listening to the No Punt Intended Sportscast. Be sure to check out the Thinking Hound and to like, share, and subscribe.